Ambassador Lee Hyun stepped into the massive hall of Nexus Prime and felt very small. The building was so big that clouds formed near the ceiling. Around him, creatures from 47 different worlds took their seats. Some had 4 arms, others had tentacles instead of legs. A few glowed with their own light. Earth had joined the Galactic Compact 6 months ago. Hyan was still learning how to talk to beings who breathed methane or communicated through color changes. The universal translator in his ear buzzed constantly, turning alien words into Korean, then into English. "The newest member will speak," announced Chancellor Vexstar. He looked like a giant insect wearing robes. His voice sounded like breaking glass, but the translator made it smooth. "Tell us, human, what can your species offer the Compact?" Hyun stood up slowly. Every eye, sensor, and tentacle in the room focused on him. "Earth offers friendship," he said. "We want to learn from you and share what we know." A sound like laughter rippled through the hall, but not the good kind. It was the sound people make when they hear a child say something silly. "Friendship," repeated Counselor Zethra, a blue-skinned being with too many teeth. How ... primitive. 3 days later, Captain Park Ji-ho received new orders aboard his ship, the Soul. The message came directly from Compact Command. His crew was being sent to establish a colony on Kepler-4, for to be a world in the dangerous border regions. "Sir," said Lieutenant Kim Sora from her station, "I've been reading about this planet. 3 other species tried to build colonies there. All of them failed." Ji-ho looked at the star charts. Kepler-4, for to be sat right between 2 hostile alien empires. The planet itself had strange energy storms that made electronics fail. The last colony ships that went there never reported back. "Maybe they just weren't tough enough," said Sergeant Lee Junho, checking his rifle. "We're humans. We don't give up easy." But Ji-ho had a bad feeling. In the past month, every mission Earth received seemed designed to be impossible. Human ships were sent to the most dangerous regions. Human soldiers got the worst equipment. Other species got safe trade routes and easy planets. Humans got radiation-soaked rocks and war zones. Back on Nexus Prime, Hyun walked through the diplomatic quarter after the day's meetings. Most aliens avoided him, stepping aside when they saw his human face. He pretended not to notice, but it hurt. He found a small cafe that served food safe for carbon-based life forms. The owner, a creature that looked like a walking tree, served him something that tasted like chicken. At the next table, 2 Kondorian officials were talking in low voices. "The humans are perfect for this," one said. "They breed fast and don't seem to understand when they're being used." "How long before they realize we're sending them to die?" asked the other. "Does it matter? There are billions of them. We can always get more." Hyan's food turned to ash in his mouth. He wanted to stand up and shout, but that would only prove he was listening. Instead, he finished his meal and left quietly. That night, he sent a coded message to Earth. President Kwan needed to know what was really happening out here. On Kepler-4 for to be. The colony ships landed in a thunderstorm. Lightning cracked across purple skies while Captain Park led his people through the chaos. The prefab shelters went up fast, but the energy storms kept shorting out their power systems. "This place is trying to kill us," muttered engineer Choi Minho as he fixed another burned-out circuit board. "Then we'll have to be harder to kill," Park replied. The first attack came at dawn on their 3rd day. Strange machines rose from underground caves, firing energy weapons that melted steel. They moved like they were hunting, coordinating their attacks with cold intelligence. "Where did these things come from?" shouted Private Bae Sianho as he dove behind a fallen tree. Park didn't have an answer. The Compact's survey reports never mentioned hostile machines. Either their intelligence was wrong, or they had sent humans here knowing what would happen. The colonists fought back with everything they had. When their advanced weapons failed, they used construction tools. When those broke, they threw rocks. They were miners, farmers, and factory workers. But they fought like soldiers. 3 ships escaped to carry word back to Earth. The rest stayed behind, turning their colony into a fortress. They sent one final message before the communication array was destroyed. This is New Sol Colony. We are under attack by unknown forces. The Compact either didn't know about this threat, or they didn't care. We will hold this ground as long as possible. Tell Earth, they're not treating us like allies. They're treating us like tools. Ian received the message while attending another Compact meeting. Around him, alien officials discussed trade agreements and shipping routes. No one mentioned the human colony that was fighting for its life. No one seemed to care. He realized then that Earth was completely alone in a galaxy, full of creatures who saw humans as useful but disposable. The question was, what would humanity do about it? The answer would shake the galaxy to its core. The alarm screamed through the bridge of the Busan at 3 in the morning. Communications Officer Choi Min jerked awake at her station, her coffee spilling across the control panel. The emergency signal was coming from somewhere far away, crackling, with static and fear. Admiral Kim, you need to hear this, she called out. Admiral Kim Dae-ho rushed onto the bridge in his sleeping clothes. The message played again, a voice speaking in the musical language of the Zephyrians. The translator worked, slowly, turning their crystal song words into human speech. Help us, ... They came from nowhere. Our cities are burning. Please, anyone who can hear this ... Then silence. Complete, terrible silence. When did this transmission start? Kim asked. 12 minutes ago, sir. But it's already stopped. Kim stared at the star chart. The Zephyrian systems were thousands of light years away, but their people were known throughout the galaxy. They were peaceful beings made of living crystal, who could control pure energy with their thoughts. They had no enemies. Everyone liked the Zephyrians. Get me Compact Command, Kim ordered. Now. But Compact Command already knew. Within hours, reports flooded in from across the galaxy. All 12 Zephyrian worlds had gone dark at exactly the same time. No responses to calls. No ships leaving their space. Nothing. Dr. Jung Minho worked through the night in his research lab orbiting Earth. The data from deep space sensors made no sense. Where the Zephyrian worlds used to shine with the light of their crystal cities, now there was only empty darkness. Run the analysis again, he told his computer. Check for any energy signatures. The results came back the same. Whatever had happened to the Zephyrians, it had been fast and complete. 12 billion crystal beings, gone in a single night. Sir, said his assistant, Dr. Park Yuri, I'm picking up similar energy patterns from the edge of Altarian space. Jung's blood went cold. The Altarian Empire was one of the most powerful forces in the galaxy. Their golden ships ruled over 100 worlds. If something was threatening them too, ... The answer came 3 days later. The Altarian Third Fleet, 50 massive warships, simply vanished while investigating strange signals near their border. One moment they were there, the next moment empty space. Captain Yoon Haijin commanded the human scout ship, Daegu. She was exploring a trade route when her sensors detected something wrong near the Kandorian Federation's territory. 3 entire star systems had gone quiet overnight. What could do this? Asked her pilot, Lieutenant Oh Taeyeon. The Kandorians have technology we can't even understand. I don't know, Haijin replied, but she was thinking about the human colonies on the frontier. If something could destroy the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy, what chance did Earth have? On Nexus Prime, Ambassador Lee Hyun watched the emergency session with growing dread. Representatives from dozens of species filled the Great Hall, but many seats sat empty. The missing delegates came from worlds that no longer existed. Chancellor Vexstar tried to maintain order, but his insectoid comm was cracking. We have confirmed the loss of 47 worlds across 6 different species, he announced. All attacks follow the same pattern. No warning, complete destruction, no survivors. What kind of enemy are we facing? Demanded Counselor Zethra. We don't know. Our best fleets can't even find them. Heian noticed something else. While the aliens panicked about their lost worlds, they were also looking at him and the other human representatives with new interest. Not the dismissive looks they usually gave, but calculating stares. After the session, he overheard a conversation between 2 compact military officials. The humans have colonies near the attack zones, one said. We should move them forward, establish better sensor networks. You mean use them as early warning systems? Exactly. If something hits human space first, we'll have time to evacuate our important worlds. Huan felt sick. Even facing an unknown enemy that could destroy entire civilizations, the compact still saw humans as expendable. He sent another urgent message to Earth, but he wondered if it would matter. The enemy, whatever it was, moved faster than any known ship. It struck without warning and left nothing behind. The next attack came just 2 days later. The proud hegemony of Thekra, masters of quantum technology, lost their capital world in the space of an hour. Their final transmission showed massive machines descending from space. Machines that looked like they were built to harvest living things. Dr. Jung studied the grainy images from his lab. The machines were enormous, each one the size of a city. They moved with purpose, not random destruction. They were collecting something from the worlds they attacked. They're not just destroying, he realized. They're consuming. His assistant looked up from her calculations. Consuming what? Life itself. Look at the energy patterns. They're draining the bioelectric fields from every living thing on these planets. On the frontier, human colonies received new orders. From Compact Command, they were to establish sensor stations and report any unusual activity immediately. The orders came with minimal supplies and no backup support. Colony Administrator Bei Yunjin read the message on New Seoul and laughed bitterly. They want us to be canaries in a coal mine, she told her staff. When we die, they'll know the danger is coming. But she also knew humans didn't have a choice. Earth was new to the galaxy and desperately outnumbered. They had to follow orders, even orders that might kill them. The unknown enemy was coming, and humanity stood directly in its path. The machines came out of the night sky like falling stars, but stars don't scream when they hit the ground. Colony Administrator Bei Yunjin watched from her office window as the first wave landed in New Seoul's main square. Each machine was as big as a building, with metal legs that crushed everything underneath. All civilians to the underground shelters, she announced over the colony speakers. This is not a drill. Captain Yoon Ji-sung ran through the streets with his marines, firing at the smaller hunter machines that poured out of the larger ones. His rifle barely scratched their metal skin, but he kept shooting anyway. Sir, our weapons aren't working, shouted Corporal Song Taeyang. Then we use bigger weapons, Ji-sung replied, pointing at a construction site. Get me those mining charges. The machines moved like they were thinking, coordinating their attacks with cold intelligence. They herded people toward collection points where larger machines waited with glowing energy drains. Anyone caught in those beams simply collapsed. Their life force sucked away in seconds. But the humans didn't run like other species had done. Instead, they fought back with everything they could find. Farmer Kim Daejin turned his harvesting machines into weapons, ramming them into the enemy robots. When his harvester broke down, he grabbed a plasma torch and started cutting into their joints. This is my land, he shouted at the machines. You can't have it. In the colony's medical center, Dr. Lee Se-hee worked frantically to save the wounded while explosions shook the building. When power failed, she operated by flashlight. When the flashlight died, she worked in darkness, guided only by her hands. In 20 years of experience. Doctor, We need to evacuate, urged Nurse Park Juan. Not until every patient can walk, Sahi replied, stitching up a deep cut on a child's arm. We don't leave anyone behind. The machines expected quick surrender like they had seen on other worlds. Instead, they found humans who turned shopping centers into fortresses and used children's toys as improvised weapons. A group of teenagers, led by 16-year-old Choi Min-jae, built explosive devices from household chemicals and cooking supplies. My chemistry teacher would be proud, Min-jae said as he planted another bomb under a disabled enemy machine. The first day cost them half the colony. The second day, they lost a spaceport. By the third day, most species would have surrendered or fled. Instead, the humans dug deeper underground and kept fighting. Administrator Bay refused every evacuation offer. This is our home, she said during a colony-wide broadcast from the underground command center. We built something here with our own hands. These machines can destroy our buildings, but they can't destroy what we are. News of New Sol's resistance spread through human space faster than any official report. Captain Nam Soo-jin received word while commanding the defense fleet near Earth. Her orders were to stay in the core systems and protect important worlds. She ignored them completely. Set course for New Sol, she told her crew aboard the Inch. Best speed. Ma'am, we don't have authorization, warned her first officer. Then we'll ask for forgiveness later, Nam replied. No human fights alone. Her fleet arrived during the colony's second week of battle. By then, New Sol looked like a war zone. Half the buildings were rubble, fires burned everywhere, and machine parts littered the streets. But the human flag still flew from the colony center. Nam's ships didn't have the advanced weapons of other galactic powers, but they had something the machines hadn't faced before: complete unpredictability. Instead of formal battle formations, her captains spread out and attacked from every direction at once. They're trying to analyze our tactics, reported Lieutenant Yu Xiangjin from the sensor station, but we keep changing them too fast. Admiral Kim Dae-ho arrived with reinforcements 2 days later. He brought every available ship from Earth's small fleet, plus volunteer crews from the mining colonies. Most of his pilots had never fought in space before, but they learned quickly. The machines adapt to standard military tactics, he explained to his captains. So we won't be standard, we'll be human. The space battle above New Sol became a lesson in chaos theory. Human ships attacked in ways that made no tactical sense, then did something completely different 5 minutes later. They used mining equipment as weapons, turned cargo haulers into missiles, and coordinated their attacks through coded messages hidden in popular songs. Private Song Taeyang, now promoted to sergeant after his captain died, led a team of colonists in retaking the main power plant. They didn't use standard military tactics either. Instead, they crawled through maintenance tunnels, struck from unexpected angles, and used the plant's own machinery against the invading machines. These things think like computers, he told his team. So we'll think like humans. Do things that don't make sense. It worked. The machine's programming couldn't adapt fast enough to human creativity and stubbornness. They had conquered a dozen species by following predictable patterns. Humans didn't follow patterns. After 3 months of fighting, the machines withdrew. From New Sol, they left behind thousands of their destroyed units, and a human colony that refused to die. The galaxy watched in amazement. The primitive humans had done something no advanced civilization could manage. They had made the enemy retreat. But this was only the beginning. The machines would return with greater force, and next time they would be ready for human unpredictability. The question was, would humanity be ready for them? Communications specialist Li Boyang almost dropped her coffee when the intercepted message came through her speakers. She had been monitoring compact military channels for weeks, trying to understand why human forces kept getting cut off from supplies and reinforcements. The voice belonged to Chancellor Vextar himself. speaking to his inner council in what he thought was a private channel. The human resistance at New Sol bought us 3 months to evacuate our core systems, the Chancellor said. We should ensure they continue fighting while we complete our strategic withdrawals. What about their requests for military support? Asked another voice. Denied. The longer they hold the frontier, the more time we have. Let them believe they're heroes. Boyoung's hands shook as she recorded everything. She had joined the military to serve alongside Earth's new galactic allies. Instead, she was listening to those same allies plan to sacrifice every human in space. She immediately sent the recording to General Han Minji, who was commanding human forces near the contested border zones. Mingi listened to the entire message without speaking, her face growing darker with each word. Get me Admiral Nam, she said finally, and patch me through to Earth Command. Everyone needs to hear this. The betrayal went deeper than just abandoned. Supply lines. Captain Park Sion discovered this when her refugee convoy was intercepted by Altarian Empire ships near the Kepler system. She was escorting 5 transport ships full of families fleeing the machine attacks. This is Captain Park of the UES Mokpo, she broadcast. We're carrying civilian refugees under galactic protection laws. The Altarian commander's response made her blood freeze. We are commandeering your vessels for our own evacuation needs. Transfer your passengers to our holds immediately. Those are cargo holds, not passenger compartments, Park replied. People will die in there. That is not our concern. Comply, or we will take your ships by force. Park looked at her sensor display. 3 heavy Altarian cruisers surrounded her small escort fleet. Her ships carried mining families from the outer colonies, including hundreds of children. The Altarians wanted to stuff them into cargo containers like freight. Negative, she said. Find your own ships. The Altarians opened fire without another word. Park's convoy barely escaped, but 2 of her escorts didn't make it. She watched helplessly as the Olsen and Genju exploded, taking 47 human crew members with them. The Altarians then moved in to salvage the wreckage for spare parts. On the frontier world of New Busan, Colonel Oh Yin-hee received orders that made her sick. Compact Command wanted her to withdraw all human forces from the outer defense perimeter, leaving 3 civilian colonies completely unprotected. This will expose 40,000 people to the machines. She told the Compact Liaison Officer, a blue-skinned Kandorian who spoke through a mechanical translator. Acceptable losses, the alien replied. Your forces are needed for more strategic positions. But Yen-hee had seen the real strategic positions. They were all around alien homeworlds and core systems. Humans were being pulled back just far enough to serve as a buffer zone while their colonies were left as bait. I refuse the order, she said. Then you will face court-martial for insubordination. Court-martial this, Yen-hee replied, and cut. The communication channel, the breaking point came when the hegemony of Thekra actively sabotaged human supply convoys heading to the front lines. Cargo ships carrying ammunition and medical supplies to human colonies were accidentally redirected to alien military bases. Instead, Captain Kim Jae-in was commanding one such convoy when Thekra ships forced his vessels to dock at their military station. Alien soldiers boarded his ships and began unloading critical supplies meant for human colonists fighting for their lives. These materials are urgently needed at New Sol, Jae-in protested. They are needed more urgently here, replied the Thekra commander. We must protect our evacuation routes. What about our people? They're dying out there. That is the price of being on the frontier. Your species chose to settle in dangerous areas. Jae-in realized then that the galaxy's most advanced civilizations were using human blood to buy themselves time to run away. The final insult came when President Kwon Jae-woo requested an emergency session of the Galactic Compact to discuss the crisis. He wanted to coordinate a united response against the machines that were consuming entire worlds. The response from Nexus Prime was brief and cold. Earth's membership in the compact is under review due to recent insubordination by human military forces. No emergency session will be granted. Ambassador Li Huyan received the message while packing his belongings. After months of watching alien officials treat human lives like numbers on a spreadsheet, he had finally requested transfer back to Earth. They're not even pretending to care anymore, he told his aide, Lieutenant Cho Yunbi. We're completely on our own out here. That evening, President Kwan addressed the human race from the rebuilt United Nations building in Seoul. His words were broadcast to every human colony, ship, and station in the galaxy. My fellow humans, he began, we came to the stars, seeking friendship among the species of this galaxy. Instead, we found cowards who see our courage as a tool for their survival. Effective immediately, humanity withdraws from the Galactic Compact. We will defend ourselves, and we will defend anyone who asks for our protection, regardless of species. He paused, looking directly into the camera. To our people on the frontier, you are not forgotten. You are not expendable. Earth stands with you, now and always. The galaxy had made its choice. Now humanity would make theirs. The refugee fleet appeared at the edge of Sol System like a collection of broken toys. Hundreds of ships from dozens of species drifted toward Earth, their hulls scarred and their crews desperate. Many were the same aliens who had dismissed humans as primitive just months before. Admiral Park Seong watched from the bridge of the New Sol as the massive fleet approached. Her father had died fighting the machines at Kepler 442. And she remembered every species that had refused to help him. Incoming transmission from the lead ship, reported Communications Officer Lee Minho. The face that appeared on screen belonged to Chancellor Vexstar himself. The proud insectoid leader now looked broken, his compound eyes dim with exhaustion. This is the Galactic Compact Emergency Fleet requesting sanctuary, he said. Our worlds are gone. Our military is destroyed. Earth is our last hope. Park stared at the alien who had called humans expendable. And why should we help you? Because, because we made mistakes. We were wrong about your species. You were wrong about a lot of things. On Earth, President Kwon Jae-woo stood before the restored United Nations building, watching the refugee fleet on his personal screen. Around him, representatives from every human colony attended via hologram, their faces hard with memory of betrayal. They used us as bait, said Governor Kim Soo-yoon from New Busan Colony. My people died buying them time to run away. The L killed 47 of my crew just to steal our ships, added Captain Nam from the Merchant Marine. But Dr. Jung Minho, now Earth's chief scientist, had different concerns. Sir, our sensors show massive energy signatures following the refugee fleet. The machines that destroyed their worlds, they're coming here too. Kwan nodded slowly. He had expected this. Earth had become the final gathering point for galactic civilization, which meant it would also be the final target. How long do we have? Maybe a week? The enemy fleet is enormous, bigger than anything we've seen before. On the refugee ships, beings who had once ruled the galaxy now lived in crowded corridors and recycled air. Former Counselor Zethra, whose blue skin had lost its vibrant color, approached one of the human guards distributing food rations. Why are you helping us? She asked. After everything we did to your people. The guard, a young woman named Bei Jisoo, handed her a meal packet. Because that's who we are. When someone needs help, we help them, even if they wouldn't help us. But we abandoned you. We used you as shields. Yeah, you did, and we'll deal with that later. Right now, there are bigger problems. The machines arrived on the 7th day. Their fleet emerged from hyperspace, like a metal storm, thousands of ships, each the size of a moon. At the center floated something that hurt to look at directly, a machine intelligence so vast it bent space around itself. This is it, whispered Captain Yoon, Ji-sung from his command post on Luna Base, the thing that ate the galaxy. The entity broadcast on all frequencies, its voice like grinding metal and dying stars. I am the devourer. I have consumed 47 species. Your biological essence will feed my expansion across this galaxy. President Kwan's response came from Earth itself, broadcast to every ship in both fleets. This is President Kwan of Earth. You want to consume us? You'll have to catch us first. What followed wasn't a battle in any traditional sense. Earth's defense had been designed by humans, who had learned to think like the enemy. The planet's surface bristled with weapons built from captured machine technology, but powered by something the Devourer couldn't understand. Human stubbornness. Captain Park Sion led the human fleet in attacks that made no tactical sense. Her ships dove into impossible formations, used their own vessels as shields for alien refugees, and coordinated through coded messages hidden in old Earth music. The machines adapted quickly to human tactics, but they couldn't adapt to human values. When the Devourer sent hunter-killers after refugee transports, human fighters threw themselves into the path of death rays meant for alien children. When machine boarding parties tried to harvest life force from helpless civilians, human marines fought them in hand-to-hand combat in narrow corridors. Dr. Jung's greatest weapon wasn't technology, it was understanding. While studying captured machine components, he had discovered their weakness. They couldn't process sacrifice. Their programming couldn't understand why humans would die for beings who had betrayed them. Upload the virus, he told his team, as Earth's defense grid began to fail. Every act of selflessness our people have shown, every human who died protecting aliens who wouldn't protect them, feed it all into their network. The virus spread through the Devourer's collective intelligence like poison. For eons, it had consumed species that fought only for themselves. It had devoured civilizations that abandoned their weak and saved only their strong. But it had never faced beings who would sacrifice everything for strangers, who hated them. The great machine mind shuddered and began to tear itself apart, its logic circuits unable to process the concept of unconditional love. In the aftermath, as the broken machine fleet drifted dead in space, representatives from 50 species gathered in Earth's orbital stations. They had come seeking shelter and found something else. A new way of thinking about civilization. The Galactic Compact was dead, destroyed by its own cowardice. In its place, the United Species Alliance was born, founded on principles humanity had always believed, that all life has value, that strength comes from protecting the weak, and that sometimes the smallest world can save the entire galaxy. The galaxy had betrayed them, but Earth had defended them all.